Have you ever truly paused to consider the silent conversations within your own mind? Does it feel at times as though your very thoughts conspire against your peace, weaving an intricate, inescapable labyrinth where every turn leads back to the same anxieties, the same unresolved doubts, the same nagging sense of inadequacy? This is not merely a fleeting emotion. It is a profound weariness that settles not in the muscles, but deep within the essence of your being, a fatigue of the spirit that no amount of physical rest can truly alleviate. This spiritual exhaustion, this heavy mantle of internal struggle, often manifests as a pervasive sense of being stuck, of treading water in a sea of emotional complexity without a discernible shore in sight. Picture this. You stand at a crossroads, your path obscured by a pervasive fog of confusion. You yearn for direction, for a clear signal, yet every internal compass seems to spin wildly, pointing nowhere. This isn't just about making daily choices, it's about the fundamental direction of your life, the very purpose that should ignite your spirit and guide your every action. And in these moments of profound uncertainty, when the world outside offers no solace, have you found yourself reaching for something more, something beyond the tangible, something inherently spiritual? That yearning for the voice of the divine, for a clear sign, a whisper of guidance that feels agonizingly close yet remains just beyond your grasp, like a melody you can almost recall but never quite capture. Does this distance from the spiritual bring its own unique brand of unrest, a quiet ache for connection? If the echo of yes resonates within you to any of these unsettling questions, then absorb this profound truth. You are not navigating these unseen struggles in isolation. This human experience, this wrestle with the inner self, is a shared journey, a universal challenge that unites souls across all walks of life. Many have stood precisely where you now stand, feeling the weight of the same internal chains. This moment, however, is not dedicated to offering simplistic remedies or hollow reassurances that vanish with the morning light. Our true purpose here is far more substantial, more enduring. It is about guiding you to the profound realization and recognition of an inherent, powerful blueprint that lies dormant within your very essence. This blueprint is not something external to be acquired. It is an intrinsic guide, a repository of wisdom and potential, simply awaiting your conscious activation, waiting to be properly understood and precisely applied to unlock your definite purpose. This is not an exercise in sheer force of will, attempting to bludgeon your mental bonds into submission. Such an approach often leads to further exhaustion, frustration, and eventual disillusionment. Instead, this is an invitation, a solemn and deliberate call to a process of methodical introspection, a disciplined inquiry into the nature of your own thoughts. We seek to untangle the intricate knots that bind your spirit and restrict your potential, not through brute strength, but through the discerning illumination of genuine understanding and the unwavering clarity of fundamental truth. When understanding dawns and truth is embraced with an unshakable faith, those knots loosen naturally, revealing the freedom that was always latent, patiently awaiting your discovery. Consider this not just another passing piece of information, but a solemn summons to embark upon an essential journey, a deliberate and courageous expedition inward. For it is exclusively within the depths of your own consciousness, in the undisturbed quietude of your innermost being, that the authentic, enduring path to true freedom resides. Every external distraction, every fleeting pleasure, every superficial solution ultimately proves insufficient if the core of your being remains unaddressed, if your thoughts remain undisciplined and without a clear aim. The true liberation you seek begins and ends with an honest, unwavering confrontation of your internal landscape, a meticulous examination of the thoughts that shape your reality. Therefore, the critical question before you now is this: do you possess the unwavering determination, the resolute will, the sustained persistence to genuinely confront your inner world, Are you prepared to meticulously examine and systematically dismantle the very mental barriers, the ingrained beliefs, the habitual thought patterns, the unexamined fears that have, until this very moment, silently yet powerfully dictated the precise contours and limitations of your reality? The journey demands courage, a steadfastness of purpose that few truly embrace. But the destination promises an unparalleled peace, a profound clarity of purpose, and an undeniable mastery over your own destiny that can transform your entire existence. Are you ready to commit to this profound work of self-liberation? To apply the disciplined effort required to reclaim your mental sovereignty and align your mind with your highest aspirations? Consider, if you will, the first of these invisible fortresses that so many unknowingly construct around their own potential, the prison of yesterday's echo. What precisely is this mental confinement? It is not merely the act of remembering, for memory serves a vital function in learning and growth. No, this prison is far more insidious. It is the relentless, often subconscious habit of allowing the events, the perceived failures, the hurts, or the missed opportunities of the past to perpetually dominate your present thoughts, casting a long, unyielding shadow over every sunrise. It is the insidious whispering voice that constantly reminds you of what should have been or what could have been, thereby denying the power and potential of what is and what can be. This is the subtle but devastating mechanism by which your mind, that magnificent instrument of creation and logic, can, paradoxically, become its own most formidable jailer. When ensnared in the prison of yesterday's echo, your mind transforms into a tireless, unceasing recorder of errors. It replays scenes from your personal history with an almost obsessive fidelity, dissecting every word spoken, every decision made, every action taken, under the harsh, unforgiving light of hindsight. What if I had chosen differently? It asks again and again. If only I had said this instead of that. Had I possessed more foresight, more courage, more knowledge at that critical juncture, how vastly different my circumstances might be today. This internal monologue, this ceaseless interrogation of a past that is, by its very nature, immutable, does not enlighten, it merely exhausts. It drains your vital mental energy, diverts your precious attention from the demands of the now, and effectively paralyzes your capacity for constructive, forward-thinking action. This is the profound tragedy of allowing the echo of yesterday to become the prevailing anthem of your today. Is it not a profound waste of your inherent power, a squandering of your present potential to dwell perpetually in the unchangeable realm of what has already transpired, allowing it to dictate the terms of your current existence? This pervasive attachment to the past directly contravenes fundamental principles of achievement and self-mastery. Think for a moment on the absolute necessity of a definite purpose. How can an individual truly articulate, pursue, and ultimately achieve a compelling, future-oriented objective if their primary mental engagement is constantly pulled backward, tethered to the specters of regret and past missteps? A mind preoccupied with the rearview mirror can never effectively navigate the road ahead. The clarity required for a definite purpose, the unwavering focus, the vivid imagination of success, the strategic planning, is utterly fragmented when the mental landscape is dominated by historical grievances or unfulfilled scenarios. Furthermore, the very essence of self-discipline, a cornerstone of all lasting accomplishment, demands the ability to control one's thoughts, to direct them with surgical precision towards chosen goals. To permit the mind to endlessly rehash past events, to ruminate on what is already sealed by time, is a profound failure of this essential mental discipline. It is to surrender control of your most potent asset, your mind, to the inert forces of what has already happened, rather than harnessing its dynamic power to shape what is yet to come. This is not discipline. It is mental drift, and mental drift leads inevitably to stagnation. to a life unlived to its fullest potential. The spiritual and emotional toll of this prison is immense, insidious, and deeply damaging. Firstly, it fundamentally impedes the transformative power of forgiveness. How can one truly forgive oneself for perceived blunders, for choices made with the limited wisdom of yesterday, if the mind insists on constantly representing the evidence of those blunders? How can true grace be extended to others if their past transgressions, whether real or imagined, are perpetually replayed, fueling resentment and bitterness within your spirit? This lack of forgiveness, whether directed inward or outward, becomes a heavy chain, binding you to the very experiences you desperately wish to transcend, preventing your forward movement. It generates a corrosive guilt, a gnawing sense of unworthiness that can become disproportionate to any actual offense. This guilt is not the constructive remorse that leads to correction and growth. It is a debilitating, self-flagellating force that drains joy, stifles initiative, and slowly erodes your belief in your own inherent goodness and capacity for change. This relentless rumination fosters a profound spiritual stagnation. The energy that could be channeled into spiritual growth, into seeking divine guidance, into embracing moments of grace and present opportunities, is instead consumed by the futile exercise of reliving and regretting. It creates a chasm between your present self and the ever-present flow of divine providence. You become so engrossed in the echoes of what was that you are deaf to the whispers of what is and what could be. The spiritual lessons of the present moment, the fresh perspectives, the new opportunities for connection and understanding, all pass unnoticed because your internal gaze is fixed immovably on the past. This isn't merely unhappiness, it's a profound distancing from the very essence of spiritual vitality, a self-imposed exile from the abundant grace that surrounds you, that stands ready to uplift you. Are you truly willing to trade the vibrant, boundless potential of your present and future for the decaying memories of a past that cannot be changed, thus sacrificing the very essence of your freedom and spiritual progression? The question demands an honest answer, for within that answer lies the key to unlocking the first door of your liberation. Having confronted the echoes of yesterday, we now turn our gaze to a different, yet equally debilitating, confinement. This is the prison of the distorted image. What defines this particular mental confinement? It is not a cage of bars, but a subtle, pervasive illusion constructed by the external world and amplified by our internal willingness to accept its false premises. It manifests as the insidious habit of perpetually measuring your intrinsic worth, your talents, your very essence, against the perceived successes, appearances, or possessions of others. It is the unceasing desire to look outward for validation, to permit the superficial metrics of someone else's journey to dictate the value of your own profound existence. Consider the pervasive influence of the modern age, where carefully curated images and achievements are perpetually broadcast. How often do you find yourself comparing your authentic, often messy internal reality with the perfectly edited, outwardly polished exteriors presented by others? This is the core mechanism of this prison. Your mind becomes a relentless evaluator, constantly scanning, contrasting, and, almost inevitably, finding itself wanting. It is a psychological trap that convinces you that your inherent enoughness is conditional, dependent upon an ever-shifting, externally defined standard of what constitutes success, beauty, or happiness. This constant external gaze breeds a deep-seated feeling of insufficiency, a perpetual state of not quite there yet, that undermines genuine contentment and stifles authentic self-expression. Is this not a profound betrayal of your unique design, a silent agreement to diminish the very qualities that make you distinct and valuable? This constant external referencing fundamentally obstructs the cultivation of a definite purpose, a foundational principle for all meaningful achievement. When your focus is predominantly on how you measure up against others, your true desires, your authentic passions, and your singular talents become obscured. Your purpose risks devolving into a mere aspiration to replicate someone else's perceived success, or worse, to simply avoid appearing inferior. A genuine, definite purpose must emerge from within, a clear and unwavering objective born of your deepest convictions and unique strengths. It demands introspection, not imitation. When you are entangled in the comparisons of the distorted image, your mental energy, which should be channeled into forging your own path, is instead squandered on analyzing and reacting to the paths of others. You surrender your sovereignty, allowing external narratives to subtly but powerfully hijack your innate drive and steer you away from your true course. Moreover, this prison directly undermines the vital principle of faith, not merely religious faith, but an unshakable faith in your own potential, your own capabilities, and your own unique connection to a higher source of inspiration. When you incessantly compare and find yourself lacking, you are, in essence, placing a misplaced faith in the superficiality of external validation. You grant immense power to the fleeting opinions of others, to the transient trends of society, or to the illusory perfection portrayed in a digital realm. This misplaced faith erodes your confidence in the very person you are meant to be. It silences the intuitive guidance that stems from within, replacing it with the clamor of external judgment. True faith affirms your inherent worth, your divinely endowed talents, and your capacity to achieve your own unique, definite purpose, irrespective of what others possess or appear to achieve. To deny your distinctiveness in pursuit of conformity is to deny a fundamental truth of your creation and to undermine the very engine of personal power that drives all lasting achievement. The spiritual and emotional consequences of living within this prison of the distorted image are profound and devastating. Firstly, it annuls your divine uniqueness. Each individual is a singular, irreplaceable manifestation of the creative force, endowed with a distinct blend of talents, perspectives, and experiences. When you strive to emulate another, when you allow the metrics of comparison to dictate your self-worth, you are, in essence, rejecting this sacred originality. You are attempting to mold yourself into an imitation, thereby suppressing the very essence of who you were meant to be. This rejection of self prevents the full blossoming of your potential, hindering the expression of those unique gifts intended specifically for you to share with the world. Secondly, this constant comparison stifles your innate talents. The creative impulse, the drive to express your inherent abilities, diminishes when your focus is on what you lack in comparison to others, rather than on cultivating what you possess. Your energies become diverted from development to lamentation. Talents that could flourish under nurturing attention wither in the shadow of perceived inadequacy. The world, and indeed your own spirit, is deprived of the unique contributions that only you could make, because your creative force is consumed by the fruitless endeavor of imitation. Finally, and perhaps most tragically, this prison robs you of genuine joy in your own journey. The pursuit of personal growth, the overcoming of challenges, the achievement of goals, these should be sources of profound satisfaction and deep fulfillment. But when every personal triumph is immediately juxtaposed against someone else's greater or different accomplishment, the joy is instantly diminished. Success becomes fleeting, perpetually overshadowed by an endless, unwinnable race. You are caught in a cycle where true contentment is always deferred, always just beyond reach, because there is always another comparison to be made, another standard to meet. This prevents the true appreciation of your efforts, the celebration of your genuine achievements, and the deep satisfaction that comes from living authentically. Does this resonate within your spirit? Do you recognize the subtle ways this mental trap has influenced your self-perception, your aspirations, your very sense of joy and purpose? To acknowledge its presence is the first step toward dismantling its hold. For within your own unique blueprint, not in the reflections of others, lies the true measure of your infinite potential. Having navigated the echoes of the past and deconstructed the illusions of the distorted image, we now confront a third, equally insidious mental stronghold, the prison of the what-if perpetual. This particular confinement is not built from past regrets or external comparisons, but from the relentless, exhausting, and often baseless speculation about an uncertain future. It is the insidious habit of your mind to constantly project countless negative scenarios, to dwell incessantly on potential calamities, imagined failures, and unforeseen obstacles that may or may not ever materialize. This is the subtle art of self-sabotage, where your imagination, that powerful engine of creation, is hijacked and repurposed to construct elaborate blueprints of fear and impending doom, effectively paralyzing your capacity for decisive action in the present. Consider the energy expended in this ceaseless mental exercise. Your intellect, designed for problem-solving and innovation, becomes consumed by an endless parade of hypothetical threats. What if this plan fails, you ask yourself? What if I lose everything? What if I'm not good enough when the time comes? What if the worst possible outcome actually materializes? This ceaseless internal questioning, this relentless forecasting of potential negative futures, creates an internal environment of constant anxiety. It is a state of perpetual vigilance against phantoms, an exhausting battle fought not against external realities, but against the specters of your own fertile yet misguided imagination. This mental posture, while appearing to be a form of preparedness, is in fact its antithesis. It is a preparation for paralysis, an exquisite design for inaction, born from a profound distrust in the unfolding of life itself. Is it not a monumental waste of your most precious internal resource, your mental energy, to constantly engage in this futile exercise of preemptive suffering, sacrificing the vibrant potential of your present for the phantom pains of a future that has yet to arrive? This incessant what-if directly undermines the very bedrock of a definite purpose. How can one articulate a clear, compelling vision for the future, a target toward which all efforts are directed, when the mind is constantly barraged by alternative, catastrophic outcomes? The clarity of purpose becomes blurred, diluted by an overwhelming flood of doubts and worst-case scenarios. A definite purpose demands unwavering focus, an unshakable belief in the attainment of a specific desired goal. But the what-if perpetual introduces constant variables of fear and uncertainty, causing one to second-guess every decision, to hesitate at every opportunity, and to ultimately retreat from the very pursuit of that purpose. The momentum required for consistent action, a non-negotiable element in all achievement, is dissipated by this internal conflict. Your mind becomes a battleground where the aspiration for success is constantly ambushed by the fear of failure, leading to a state of perpetual indecision and eventual stagnation. This is not foresight. It is a profound failure of planning, a self-imposed obstacle to the very progress you claim to desire. Furthermore, this prison systematically erodes the vital principle of faith. Faith, in its deepest sense, is not merely a blind belief, but a profound certainty in the eventual realization of your desires, coupled with an unwavering trust in a higher order or a benevolent universe that supports your earnest endeavors. The what-if perpetual, however, is the very antithesis of this trust. It is a declaration of doubt, a constant questioning of providence, a profound lack of confidence in your own ability to navigate challenges or in the ultimate goodness of outcomes. When your mind is consumed by fears of failure, lack, or misfortune, you are, in essence, actively cultivating a state of unbelief. This unbelief acts as a potent repellent, pushing away the very opportunities, insights, and support that your faith could otherwise attract. It creates a self-fulfilling prophecy of anxiety, where the expectation of negative outcomes subtly shapes your perceptions and actions, inadvertently leading you towards the very results you dread. How can you expect divine assistance or cosmic alignment if your dominant mental posture is one of apprehension and suspicion regarding the future? The universe, in its infinite wisdom, often responds to the nature of your prevailing thoughts. Is it not prudent, then, to ensure those thoughts are aligned with hope, trust, and courageous expectation rather than with the debilitating specter of perpetual what-ifs? The spiritual and emotional toll of this prison is particularly heavy and far-reaching. It systematically minimizes your faith in divine provision. If you constantly anticipate disaster, if you believe that every corner hides a potential pitfall, you are implicitly denying the possibility of grace, of protection, of guidance. This creates a profound sense of isolation, making you feel as though you are solely responsible for warding off an endless array of threats, rather than being supported by a benevolent force. This fear of the unknown replaces trust with trepidation, making the spiritual path feel like a minefield rather than a journey of unfolding wonder. This prison also undermines any inherent trust in a higher order or plan. If life is merely a series of random, potentially disastrous events, then what purpose is there in seeking a deeper meaning, a divine hand, or a guiding wisdom? The what-if perpetual convinces you that chaos reigns and that your vigilance is the only bulwark against it, thereby severing your connection to the comforting, empowering truth that there is indeed a purposeful design in the universe. This detachment from a sense of grander order leaves you feeling small, vulnerable, and ultimately helpless against the tides of an unpredictable existence. Perhaps most damagingly, this constant anxiety generates a paralyzing fear that prevents you from taking necessary, decisive action. Opportunities pass by unnoticed or untaken because the perceived risks are magnified beyond proportion. Creativity is stifled because innovation inherently involves venturing into the unknown. Personal growth stagnates because growth often demands stepping outside the familiar, a step that the what-if perpetual vehemently resists. You become trapped in a cycle of anticipation and avoidance, sacrificing potential gains for the illusion of safety, a safety that is often more confining than any perceived threat. This fear becomes a self-imposed governor on your potential, preventing you from reaching for the very achievements and experiences that would define your success and happiness. Furthermore, it creates a pervasive sense of helplessness and a profound lack of control. While the initial impulse to worry may stem from a desire to control outcomes, the sheer volume of negative possibilities soon overwhelms, leading to a feeling that you are a powerless pawn in a chaotic game. This is a cruel irony. The attempt to control through worry leads directly to a profound sense of powerlessness. This feeling of helplessness drains motivation, erodes self-efficacy, and fosters a sense of resignation, further reinforcing the idea that taking action is futile because the unseen future will always hold an unpredictable, likely negative surprise. Are you prepared to live indefinitely under the oppressive shadow of what might happen, thereby forfeiting the tangible beauty and boundless opportunities of what is happening right now? The cost of remaining in the prison of the what-if perpetual is nothing less than the surrender of your present peace, your future potential, and your profound spiritual connection. To escape, one must consciously choose to redirect the potent force of imagination from constructing scenarios of fear to forging visions of desired outcomes. This is the act of aligning your thoughts with a definite purpose, buttressed by unwavering faith. It is the conscious decision to trade anxiety for anticipation, doubt for conviction, and paralysis for purposeful action. Having traversed the labyrinth of past regrets and the deceptive mirrors of external comparison, and having confronted the paralyzing shadows of future anxieties, we now encounter a particularly insidious form of self-confinement, the prison of "I don't deserve it." This is not an external barrier, but an internal fortress, meticulously constructed over time by subtle whispers of unworthiness, deeply ingrained beliefs of inadequacy, and a pervasive, often unconscious conviction that you are fundamentally undeserving of true happiness, abundance, love, or success. This prison operates not through overt force, but through a gentle, persistent erosion of your self-worth, making you believe that blessings are for others, but not for you. It is the quiet architect of self-sabotage, subtly yet powerfully blocking the very good that you consciously desire to manifest in your life. Consider the profound impact of such an internal narrative. How does one pursue a goal with genuine enthusiasm, embrace an opportunity with full commitment, or receive a compliment with heartfelt gratitude when an inner voice constantly murmurs that you are not quite good enough, not quite ready, or simply not worthy of such positive experiences? This prison turns potential blessings into burdens, making you deflect praise, doubt sincerity, and even subconsciously engineer scenarios that align with your ingrained belief of unworthiness. It is a psychological mechanism that compels you to push away the very things that could elevate your life, all because your internal compass is calibrated to a frequency of insufficient self-regard. This isn't merely low self-esteem. It is a fundamental rejection of your inherent value, a silent contract with yourself to remain perpetually in a state less than your true potential. Is it not a profound tragedy to possess boundless capacity for good, for contribution, for joy, yet to actively, albeit unconsciously, deny yourself access to it based on an unfounded premise of undeservingness? This entrenched belief of unworthiness directly contravenes two pivotal principles for success: a definite purpose and faith. How can an individual confidently articulate a definite purpose, a clear, compelling objective that demands their best efforts and unwavering commitment, if at their core they do not believe themselves worthy of achieving such a magnificent outcome? The very act of setting an ambitious goal requires a fundamental belief in one's capacity and deservingness to attain it. Without this foundational self-worth, a definite purpose becomes a mere fantasy, a fleeting wish rather than a solid, actionable plan. The inner voice of "I don't deserve it" will inevitably inject doubt, foster procrastination, and ultimately sabotage the disciplined execution required for goal achievement. Why would one exert tremendous effort for something they secretly believe they are not entitled to receive? Furthermore, this prison profoundly undermines the principle of faith. Faith is an unwavering conviction in the eventual realization of your desires, supported by the belief that you are a co-creator with a benevolent universe, worthy of receiving its abundant gifts. But the "I don't deserve it" narrative is a direct assault on this spiritual truth. It creates a chasm between you and the flow of divine provision. If you believe you are unworthy, you implicitly deny the unconditional love and boundless grace that underpins spiritual reality. You create a mental barrier, effectively telling the universe, or God, that you are not open to receiving the blessings intended for you. This is not humility, it is a subtle form of resistance to the divine flow, a self-imposed limitation on the very beneficence that seeks to uplift and empower you. Faith requires an open heart, ready to receive. Unworthiness closes it, effectively sealing you off from the very source of your potential. The spiritual and emotional impact of this prison of "I don't deserve it" is particularly profound, creating a deep rift between the individual and their inherent spiritual birthright. Firstly, it creates an immense chasm between the individual and the unconditional goodness of the divine. If you constantly feel unworthy, you cannot truly embrace the concept of an unconditionally loving God who desires your highest good. This internal belief system convinces you that you must earn love, earn blessings, or atone for perceived flaws, thereby distorting the true nature of divine grace. It traps you in a cycle of trying to prove your worth, rather than simply accepting the inherent intrinsic value bestowed upon you by your Creator. This leads to spiritual anxiety, a perpetual feeling of falling short, and a sense of isolation from the very source of comfort and strength. Secondly, This prison actively prevents you from fully accepting and integrating the concept of divine love and abundance. How can you genuinely feel loved or embrace abundance if your internal dialogue screams that you are not good enough for it? This internal resistance becomes a powerful filter, causing you to unconsciously dismiss evidence of grace, interpret acts of kindness with suspicion, and even sabotage opportunities for prosperity. It's not that the blessings aren't present. It's that your internal operating system is programmed to reject them, creating a self-imposed scarcity in a universe designed for abundance. Finally, and most tragically, this prison stifles the true expression of your unique purpose and gifts. Each individual is endowed with talents and a specific mission in life, a contribution meant to uplift humanity. But if you do not believe you deserve to succeed, or that your efforts are worthy of recognition, you will hesitate to step into your full potential. You will hold back, play small, and fear the very visibility that your unique gifts demand. This self-limitation not only deprives you of personal fulfillment, but also denies the world the benefit of your unique contribution. It is a profound act of self-denial that resonates far beyond your own immediate experience, impacting the collective good by withholding the light that only you can shine. Are you willing to remain bound by these invisible chains of perceived unworthiness, denying yourself the very blessings and achievements that your diligent effort and innate potential truly warrant? To truly escape this prison demands a profound shift in self-perception, a deliberate choice to reevaluate your inherent value and to align your internal narrative with the truth of your divine worthiness. It requires an act of radical self-acceptance, an unwavering belief in your capacity to receive, and the courageous decision to embrace the abundance that the universe stands ready to bestow upon those who are prepared, both mentally and spiritually, to accept it. Having wrestled with the ghosts of the past, resisted the siren call of comparison, and disarmed the anxieties of an uncertain future, and having begun to dismantle the insidious belief in unworthiness, we now arrive at the final, yet profoundly pervasive, mental confinement: the prison of the soulless routine. This is perhaps the most deceptive of all, for it is often cloaked in the guise of stability, predictability, and even responsibility. Yet beneath this veneer lies a deep, gnawing void, the feeling of living life on autopilot, of going through the motions without genuine engagement, passion, or a sense of vibrant purpose. It is the insidious erosion of curiosity, the gradual dimming of enthusiasm, and the slow descent into existential boredom, where days bleed into weeks and months into years, leaving behind a trail of unfulfilled potential and a profound sense of emptiness. Consider the stark reality of this condition. You may be diligently performing your duties, meeting your obligations, and ticking off tasks from your daily list. Yet, does a deeper inquiry reveal a lack of true spark, a missing resonance in your actions? Is there a pervasive sense that something fundamental is absent, a crucial ingredient that transforms mere existence into a life richly lived? This prison manifests as the quiet acceptance of monotony, the resigned belief that passion is a luxury, and that your highest calling is merely to endure. Your mind, capable of boundless creativity and profound meaning-making, becomes confined to the predictable grooves of habit, devoid of the invigorating challenges and inspiring discoveries that fuel true intellectual and spiritual growth. This is not merely routine, it is a spiritual starvation, a deliberate turning away from the inherent richness and wonder that life offers in favor of a comfortable, yet ultimately deadening predictability. Is it not a tragic squandering of your finite existence to settle for mere survival when the universe beckons with opportunities for profound engagement and transformative experience? This adherence to a soulless routine fundamentally undermines the very essence of a definite purpose. How can one articulate and pursue a grand, compelling vision for their life when their days are spent in a cycle of uninspired tasks, divorced from any higher meaning or personal resonance? A definite purpose demands not just effort, but enthusiastic, sustained, and joyful effort. It requires a burning desire, an unshakable faith, and a relentless persistence born from deep conviction. But the prison of the soulless routine smothers this flame. It replaces passionate pursuit with mechanical repetition, inspired action with robotic compliance. The clarity of a definite purpose becomes obscured by the fog of apathy, and the energy required for its pursuit is drained by the sheer weight of uninspired living. Your inherent drive, which should be propelling you towards magnificent achievements, is instead channeled into merely maintaining the status quo, ensuring only that the predictable rhythm of emptiness continues unabated. Furthermore, this prison directly sabotages the principle of imagination. Imagination is not merely the ability to conjure images, it is the faculty of conceiving possibilities, of envisioning a future that transcends your current reality, of dreaming beyond the constraints of the present. But when your life is dictated by a soulless routine, your imagination languishes. It is starved of novel stimuli, of fresh perspectives, of the challenges that force it to expand and innovate. You stop questioning. Stop exploring. Stop envisioning alternatives. The vibrant landscape of possibility shrinks to the narrow confines of your current circumstances, leading to a profound intellectual and creative stagnation. How can one aspire to greatness, to break new ground, to innovate solutions, if the very faculty designed to conceive such possibilities has been dulled by the ceaseless repetition of the mundane? This intellectual inertia is a silent killer of potential, preventing the unfolding of your true creative genius. The spiritual and emotional ramifications of the prison of the soulless routine are perhaps the most insidious, as they strike at the very core of what it means to be fully alive and connected. Firstly, it fosters a profound disconnection from your own spiritual essence and your divine calling. Each individual is endowed with unique gifts, talents, and a specific purpose intended to contribute to the tapestry of life. When caught in a routine devoid of soul, these unique aspects lie dormant, unexpressed, and ultimately forgotten. The subtle whispers of intuition, the quiet nudges of divine guidance, are drowned out by the monotonous hum of uninspired activity. You become estranged from your authentic self, from the vibrant spiritual being that yearns for expression and connection, leaving a void where purpose once resided. Secondly, this prison cultivates spiritual apathy. The profound questions of existence, the search for meaning, the desire for deeper spiritual communion, all fade into the background when your primary focus is merely on getting through the day. The spiritual muscle atrophies from disuse. Enthusiasm for spiritual growth wanes, replaced by a resigned indifference. Prayer becomes rote, meditation a chore, and contemplation a luxury that cannot be afforded in the relentless march of mundane tasks. This apathy is a dangerous state, for it dulls your sensitivity to the sacred, diminishing your capacity to experience wonder, gratitude, and the profound joy that comes from genuine spiritual engagement. Finally, and most tragically, the prison of the soulless routine leads to a pervasive sense of unfulfillment and existential emptiness. Despite potentially achieving external markers of success, an inner void persists, a hollow ache that no material possession or social recognition can truly fill. This emptiness is the natural consequence of living a life unaligned with your deeper purpose, a life where your spirit is starved of nourishment. It is the silent scream of an unlived life, a profound sadness that emerges from the realization that time, your most precious commodity, is slipping away, filled not with vibrant experiences and meaningful contributions, but with the monotonous echo of what might have been. This is a profound spiritual bankruptcy, where the currency of joy, purpose, and connection is spent on mere existence, Are you prepared to allow the relentless march of habit to steal your passion, dull your imagination, and ultimately deny you the profound joy and fulfillment that comes from living a life vibrant with purpose and infused with spiritual meaning? The cost of remaining in the prison of the soulless routine is nothing less than the surrender of your vitality, your creativity, and your very essence. To escape, one must courageously reclaim their innate curiosity, deliberately seek out new challenges, and consciously infuse every action with intention and purpose. It requires a profound act of self-reconnection, a deliberate decision to awaken from the slumber of apathy and to align your daily actions with the grand, magnificent purpose that awaits your passionate pursuit. Having journeyed through the desolate landscapes of mental imprisonment, from the echoing chambers of yesterday's regrets, past the deceptive mirrors of distorted self-image, through the paralyzing fog of perpetual what-ifs, and beyond the stifling walls of unworthiness and soulless routine, you now stand at the precipice of liberation. The very act of recognizing these internal fortresses is your first step toward reclaiming your sovereignty. But recognition alone, like merely identifying a locked door, does not grant passage. Now, we must turn our attention to the keys, the powerful tools that unlock these self-imposed confines. The transformation begins with a deliberate shift in perspective, a conscious redirection of your most potent faculty, your mind. Let us begin with the first of these emancipatory instruments, the discipline of conscious gratitude. This is not a mere pleasant sentiment. It is a profound and active mental practice, a spiritual discipline that directly counteracts the corrosive effects of the prison of yesterday's echo. Remember how that prison relentlessly replayed the tape of past mistakes, regrets, and missed opportunities, draining your energy and anchoring you firmly in what was, rather than what is, or what could be. Conscious gratitude is the master key to that particular lock. It is the deliberate, systematic act of refocusing your mental lens, not on what you lack or what has gone wrong, but on the myriad blessings, both grand and minute, that are undeniably present in your life right now. Think of your mind as a powerful search engine. If you constantly feed it queries about errors, deficiencies, and past grievances, it will diligently return precisely those results, reinforcing the very narratives that keep you captive. The discipline of conscious gratitude is about reprogramming that search engine, giving it new, empowering directives. It transforms your inner dialogue from one of lament and longing for what is absent to one of appreciation and acknowledgement for what has been graciously provided. This is a practice that demands conscious effort, for the habit of dwelling on negativity is deeply ingrained in many, a default setting that must be deliberately overwritten. It is an act of self-discipline, a conscious choice to exert control over your thoughts, directing them towards fertile ground rather than allowing them to wander aimlessly in the barren fields of past sorrows. Consider the wisdom articulated by a master of achievement. The individual with a definite purpose understands that sustained focus is paramount. How can one maintain an unwavering focus on future aspirations if their mental energy is constantly diverted by the undertow of past regrets? The truth is, they cannot. The discipline of conscious gratitude liberates this precious mental resource. By systematically acknowledging the good in your life, you are not denying past difficulties. You are simply refusing to grant them undue power over your present capacity to build a better future. You are choosing to orient your internal compass towards the magnetic north of positivity and potential, rather than allowing it to be spun by the swirling eddies of past misfortunes. This practice is a profound act of mental alchemy, transmuting the heavy lead of regret into the gleaming gold of appreciation, thereby empowering your pursuit of your definite purpose with renewed vigor and clarity. It is the disciplined application of the principle that what you focus on expands. The spiritual and emotional impact of embracing conscious gratitude is transformative. Firstly, it fundamentally rewires the circuit of negativity within your mind. The more you consciously seek out and acknowledge reasons for gratitude, the more adept your mind becomes at finding them. This creates a virtuous cycle, gradually shifting your default emotional state from one of apprehension or discontent to one of peace and contentment. It cultivates acceptance, not of defeat, but of the present moment, acknowledging its inherent lessons and opportunities. This acceptance is crucial for healing, for it allows you to fully engage with the present rather than constantly striving to undo an unchangeable past. You begin to understand that even in challenges, there are seeds of growth, and in every difficulty, opportunities for deeper appreciation. Secondly, and perhaps most importantly, conscious gratitude profoundly cultivates self-forgiveness and the capacity to forgive others. When you are regularly immersed in an attitude of appreciation for the journey, for the lessons learned, and for the blessings that have sustained you, the harsh judgments against yourself and others begin to soften. You recognize that every past action, every perceived mistake, was part of an intricate tapestry, a necessary step on your path toward growth and understanding. This perspective allows you to release the burden of guilt and resentment, recognizing that holding on to these emotions only punishes you, not the past. It opens your heart to the transformative power of grace, allowing you to extend the same forgiveness to yourself that you would offer to a cherished friend, and to release others from the mental prisons you have constructed for them within your own mind. This act of forgiveness is not about condoning past actions, but about liberating your own spirit from the toxic chains of bitterness. This continuous practice of conscious gratitude prepares your heart to receive more, to open itself to the flow of abundance that the universe continuously offers. It is a powerful affirmation of faith, a declaration that regardless of yesterday's shadows, you trust in the unfolding goodness of life. By choosing to see the blessings, you align yourself with the very forces that bring forth more blessings. This is not passive hope. It is active creation, using the disciplined power of your mind to manifest a reality rich in appreciation and purpose. Are you willing to commit to this daily discipline, to consciously seek out the good, to systematically reprogram your internal dialogue and thereby unlock the first door to your enduring liberation? The choice is always yours, and it is made anew in every moment you choose gratitude over regret. Having systematically cultivated the powerful discipline of conscious gratitude, thereby beginning to dismantle the hold of yesterday's lingering echoes, you are now prepared to confront another deeply entrenched illusion, one that has perhaps more subtly, yet no less profoundly, shaped your sense of self and dictated the trajectory of your aspirations. We speak now of the prison of the distorted image, that mental confinement where the mirror of your self-perception is perpetually warped by the fleeting opinions and external measures of others. Remember how this prison traps you in a relentless cycle of comparison, constantly forcing you to measure your intrinsic worth against the ephemeral successes, the carefully curated appearances, or the material possessions displayed by those around you, thereby creating a debilitating sense of insufficiency. To break free from this insidious cycle, you require not just a new perspective, but a sacred internal sanctuary, a personal altar of self-discovery and divine connection. What precisely is this personal altar, and how does one construct it within the bustling workshop of the mind? It is not necessarily a physical space, though a quiet corner dedicated to reflection can certainly amplify its power. Rather, it is a deliberate, consistent practice of creating an inner chamber of profound introspection and unwavering divine connection. This is not merely about reciting prayers or engaging in ritualistic worship. It is about cultivating a sacred silence, a focused attentiveness, where the clamor of the world recedes, and you consciously open yourself not just to speak, but crucially, to listen. It is in this profound stillness that you begin to discern the authentic whispers of your own soul, the undeniable truth of your divinely endowed identity. free from the cacophony of external judgment and the false metrics of comparison. This active listening, this internal receptivity, becomes the bedrock upon which your true self-image is built, an image forged in truth, not in the fleeting reflections of societal expectations. Consider the absolute necessity of a definite purpose, that guiding star without which no true and lasting achievement is possible. How can an individual possibly articulate and pursue such a singular, compelling vision if their core identity is constantly being shaped and reshaped by the ever-shifting sands of external validation? A purpose born of comparison is a purpose diluted, a purpose that will inevitably crumble under the weight of its borrowed identity. The personal altar serves as the crucible where your true, definite purpose is refined. In that sacred space, stripped of pretense and external pressures, you begin to perceive the unique gifts, the inherent talents, and the specific calling that infinite intelligence has bestowed upon you. It is here that you formulate a purpose that resonates deeply with your authentic self, a purpose that transcends the transient desires for external approval, because it is rooted in the unshakable conviction of your own divine design. This clarity of purpose, born from genuine self-knowledge, becomes a powerful shield against the insidious darts of comparison, rendering them utterly ineffective. Furthermore, this practice profoundly deepens the principle of faith. If faith is an unwavering conviction in the realization of your desires, sourced from a belief in a benevolent universe, then how much more potent becomes that faith when it is intimately connected to a direct, personal experience of your own divine worth? The prison of the distorted image erodes faith by constantly suggesting you are not enough, not worthy, not capable. It places your faith in the unstable hands of human opinion. But within the sanctuary of your personal altar, you actively engage in a process that reaffirms your intrinsic value. This direct communion, this act of listening to the quiet affirmations of a higher power within, cultivates an unshakable faith in your own potential, your own deservedness, and your own unique place in the grand design. It is an understanding that your worth is not granted by external achievement or popular acclaim, but is inherent, immutable, and divinely ordained. This intrinsic faith then becomes the unyielding foundation upon which all your aspirations and actions are built, making them resilient against the fluctuations of external judgment. The spiritual and emotional impact of deliberately constructing and regularly visiting this personal altar is nothing short of revolutionary. Firstly, it fortifies your divine self-image, permanently detaching your sense of worth from the precarious ground of external comparison. In that consecrated space, you actively dismantle the false narratives that suggest your value is conditional, dependent on what you achieve, what you possess, or how you are perceived by others. You begin to internalize the profound truth that your worth is intrinsic, an immutable aspect of your being, conferred upon you by the very act of your existence. This realization is liberating, for it frees you from the exhausting pursuit of external validation, allowing you to operate from a place of secure and unshakable self-acceptance. Secondly, and as a direct consequence of this fortified self-image, you develop an unparalleled detachment from external comparison. The desire to measure yourself against another's yardstick diminishes because you now possess an internal compass, calibrated to the truth of your own unique path and purpose. The successes of others become sources of inspiration, not envy. Their achievements celebrate the boundless potential of humanity rather than triggering a sense of personal inadequacy. You come to understand that your journey is precisely that, yours, and that its inherent value lies not in its resemblance to any other, but in its authentic expression of your singular design. This detachment allows you to genuinely celebrate your own triumphs, however small, knowing they are milestones on a path uniquely your own. Finally, the consistent practice of the personal altar fosters a profound inner peace and an unwavering sense of self-worth. When your identity is rooted in divine truth rather than human opinion, the fluctuations of external circumstance lose their power to destabilize your core. You become less susceptible to the shifting tides of praise and criticism, less buffeted by the winds of societal expectations. This cultivated inner sanctuary provides a constant source of calm, a wellspring of quiet confidence that empowers you to pursue your definite purpose with unwavering conviction, secure in the knowledge of who you are and what you are meant to achieve. It is in this sacred space that you truly be still and know that I am God, recognizing that your true identity, your true power, and your true worth are eternally intertwined with the infinite. Are you ready to commit to building this sanctuary, to dedicate moments each day to this profound inward journey, and thereby claim the authentic, divinely inspired self that awaits your conscious recognition? The key is in your hands. The altar awaits its architect. Having systematically cultivated the powerful discipline of conscious gratitude, thereby beginning to dismantle the hold of yesterday's lingering echoes, and having diligently constructed your personal altar to fortify your authentic self-image against the deceptive mirrors of external comparison, you now face the challenge of navigating the treacherous currents of an uncertain future and transforming the numbing inertia of a life lived without genuine passion. For it is within these dual confines, the paralyzing fog of the what-if perpetual and the suffocating blanket of the soulless routine, that countless individuals find their progress halted, their dreams deferred, and their very spirit dulled into quiet resignation. You recall the endless speculation about potential calamities, the ceaseless projection of negative outcomes that define the what-if perpetual, draining your mental energy and crippling your capacity for decisive action. And you remember the existential boredom of the soulless routine, where days bleed into weeks, devoid of meaning, leaving a profound sense of emptiness, a life lived on autopilot. It is time to equip yourself with the definitive instrument that cuts through both these illusions. The map of defined intention. What precisely is this map of defined intention, and how does it possess the power to liberate you from such potent mental strongholds? It is far more than a mere wish or a vague desire. It is the deliberate, conscious act of articulating a principled, definite purpose for your life, for the coming year, for the current week, or even for the very day unfolding before you. This purpose must be crystal clear, unequivocally stated, and so compelling that it ignites a burning desire within your soul. It is the unwavering decision to chart a specific course, to set a precise target, and then, with unshakable resolve, to act upon it. This is the antithesis of both aimless worrying and passive existence. It is the forceful assertion of your will, guided by intellect and inspired by vision, upon the raw material of your reality. Consider the profound wisdom embedded in the ancient saying, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." Without a clearly defined intention, without a compelling target, your mental energies, like a ship without a rudder, are tossed aimlessly by every passing gust of fear or distraction, leading inevitably to shipwreck on the shores of regret or the stagnation of unfulfilled potential. The power of a defined intention directly addresses the what-if perpetual by introducing clarity where anxiety thrives on ambiguity. When your mind is focused on an overwhelming array of hypothetical dangers and potential failures, it is because it lacks a singular dominant aim to orient itself around. By establishing a principled, definite purpose, you provide your mind with a powerful focal point. Instead of asking, "What if everything goes wrong?" your mind begins to engage with, "How can I achieve this specific outcome?" This shift in inquiry transforms a debilitating cycle of fear into a constructive process of problem-solving and strategic planning. The act of making a firm decision, of committing to a clear intention, eliminates the agonizing indecision that is a primary source of anxiety. It requires the disciplined application of your faculties to consider possibilities not as threats, but as steps or obstacles on a clearly marked path. This is where the principle of organized planning, so vital to any significant achievement, comes into play. Your defined intention becomes the destination, and the map component demands that you meticulously chart the necessary steps, identify potential challenges, and devise contingency plans. This process, far from feeding anxiety, empowers you with a sense of control over your direction, even if external circumstances remain unpredictable. Simultaneously, the map of defined intention serves as the ultimate antidote to the prison of the soulless routine. This confinement, remember, is characterized by an absence of meaning, a pervasive feeling that your daily actions lack purpose or passion. By consciously defining an intention, however small or grand, you infuse every subsequent action with profound significance. A seemingly mundane task, a phone call, an email, a morning workout, is no longer merely an item on a to-do list. It transforms into a deliberate, essential step on your personalized map toward a cherished destination. This imbues your daily life with a sense of forward momentum, a vibrancy that banishes existential boredom and replaces it with proactive engagement. The very act of pursuing a defined intention engages your imagination in a constructive way, not to conjure fearful what-ifs, but to vividly visualize the successful attainment of your purpose, to anticipate the joy and satisfaction that accompanies its realization. This consistent engagement with a meaningful objective cultivates an inner fire, a relentless drive that turns routine into ritual, transforming mere existence into a purposeful, passionate journey. This third key is rooted deeply in the principles of success illuminated by great thinkers. The fundamental concept of a definite purpose, as articulated, is not merely a suggestion, but an absolute prerequisite for any substantial accomplishment. Without it, effort is scattered, energy dissipated, and results, if any, are accidental rather than intentional. The map of defined intention demands decision, the courageous act of making a firm, unequivocal commitment, thereby severing the bonds of doubt and hesitation. It then requires organized planning, meticulously charting the steps necessary to move from intention to execution. It cultivates faith, for to commit to a purpose when the path is not entirely clear requires an unwavering belief in your capacity to overcome obstacles and ultimately succeed. And finally, it demands persistence, the disciplined, unwavering adherence to your chosen course, especially when confronted with the inevitable setbacks that test your resolve. The spiritual and emotional impact of consistently applying the map of defined intention is profoundly liberating. It replaces the paralysis of anxiety with the dynamic energy of focused action. No longer are you a passive recipient of circumstances, but an active architect of your destiny. This generates an authentic sense of control, not over the unpredictable external world, but over your own internal responses, your direction, and your effort. This internal locus of control is a cornerstone of psychological well-being and personal empowerment. As you begin to see tangible results, however small, from your defined intentions and purposeful actions, your confidence soars, creating a positive feedback loop that fuels further achievement. Furthermore, this practice infuses meaning and vitality into every aspect of your daily life. The emptiness of a soulless routine dissipates when you realize that even the most ordinary moments can be consciously aligned with a higher purpose. Your days are no longer just passing time. They are purposeful chapters in the unfolding narrative of your chosen destiny. This renewed sense of meaning combats apathy, rekindles passion, and restores a profound sense of hope. You begin to experience life not as a series of random events to be endured, but as an unfolding tapestry of opportunities to be seized, challenges to be overcome, and contributions to be made. It is the conscious alignment of your individual will with the grander divine purpose that courses through all existence, transforming your journey into a testament of deliberate creation. Are you ready to claim this powerful key, to deliberately define your intentions, to meticulously map your course, and to act with unwavering purpose? Are you willing to trade the debilitating what-ifs for the empowering I wills, and replace the dullness of routine with the vibrant glow of a life consciously designed? The certainty of intention is a beacon in the storm of uncertainty, a wellspring of meaning in the desert of the mundane. It awaits your command. Having bravely navigated the treacherous waters of past regrets with the compass of conscious gratitude, and having steadfastly rebuilt your authentic self-image against the distorting currents of external comparison through the sacred sanctuary of your personal altar, and having further committed to charting your course through the mists of future anxieties and the mundane repetition of soulless routines with the precise map of defined intention, you are now equipped to confront perhaps the most insidious and self-sabotaging of all internal confinements. This is the prison of I don't deserve it, that fortress meticulously constructed from within, fortified by the insidious whispers of unworthiness, the subtle yet pervasive belief in inadequacy, and the deep-seated conviction that true happiness, profound abundance, unconditional love, or genuine success are destined for others, but perpetually out of your reach. Remember how this prison subtly yet powerfully blocks the very good you consciously desire, turning potential blessings into burdens, compelling you to deflect praise, doubt sincerity, and subconsciously engineer scenarios that align with your ingrained belief of unworthiness. It is a profound rejection of your inherent value, a silent contract with yourself to perpetually remain in a state less than your true, magnificent potential. To dismantle this final, crucial internal barrier, you require not just a tool, but a fundamental realignment of your very being, an active stance that declares your rightful place in the universe, the principle of resolute acceptance. What then is this principle of resolute acceptance? And how does it possess the profound power to liberate you from the shackles of undeservingness? It is not a passive resignation to fate, nor is it a haughty claim of superiority. Rather, it is a dynamic, conscious, and unwavering affirmation of your intrinsic worth, a courageous declaration that you are, by virtue of your very existence, deserving of all the good that life, and indeed the divine, wishes to bestow upon you. It is the active practice of opening your heart and mind to receive, to embrace, and to integrate the blessings, opportunities, and love that flow towards you, without reservation, without self-doubt, and without the crippling need to earn what has already been freely given. This principle demands a profound act of self-love and self-respect, a conscious decision to annul the old false contract of unworthiness and replace it with an unshakable belief in your inherent right to thrive, to flourish, and to contribute your unique light to the world. It requires you to silence the inner critic that insists you are not good enough, and instead to amplify the quiet, powerful truth that you are a cherished, invaluable part of the cosmic design, fully capable and undeniably worthy of experiencing the fullness of life. Consider the absolute necessity of a definite purpose, that guiding North Star for your aspirations. How can you genuinely articulate, pursue, and ultimately achieve a grand, compelling vision for your life if, at your core, you harbor the belief that you do not deserve the very fruits of that labor? The journey towards a definite purpose is arduous. It demands persistence, resilience, and an unwavering commitment. But if the subconscious belief of unworthiness is perpetually sabotaging your efforts, causing you to shy away from opportunities, to accept less than you deserve, or to abandon your pursuits just as success draws near, then all the clarity and planning in the world will prove insufficient. The principle of resolute acceptance acts as the bedrock beneath your definite purpose. It instills the deep-seated conviction that the success you envision is not only possible, but rightfully yours, a natural outcome of your dedicated effort and your inherent capacity. It empowers you to boldly claim your purpose, to step into your power, and to allow yourself to receive the recognition, the rewards, and the profound satisfaction that accompany its achievement. Without this fundamental belief in deserving, even the clearest purpose becomes a distant, unattainable mirage, always just beyond your grasp. Furthermore, this principle profoundly strengthens the very fabric of faith. If faith is an unwavering conviction in the realization of your desires, coupled with a profound trust in a higher order that supports your earnest endeavors, then the belief in undeservingness is its direct antithesis. How can you truly have faith in a benevolent universe if you simultaneously believe yourself unworthy of its benevolence? The "I don't deserve it" narrative erects an insurmountable barrier between you and the flow of divine grace. It implicitly suggests that you must somehow earn or atone for your worth, thereby negating the concept of unconditional love and boundless provision. The principle of resolute acceptance, however, is an active declaration of your rightful place within the divine tapestry. It is an act of profound trust, an open-hearted acknowledgement that you are a co-creator, inherently connected to the source of all good and therefore worthy of receiving its abundant gifts. This deepens your faith, transforming it from a mere intellectual assent into a living, vibrant connection. It attunes you to the frequency of divine abundance, allowing you to recognize and embrace the blessings that are constantly seeking to manifest in your life, not as random occurrences, but as direct responses to your open, receptive, and deserving spirit. The spiritual and emotional impact of consistently applying the principle of resolute acceptance is nothing short of revolutionary, fundamentally reshaping your relationship with yourself, with others, and with the divine. Firstly, it fosters a profound and active connection to the unconditional goodness of the divine. When you release the need to earn your worth, you begin to experience the true nature of grace, a gift freely given, not based on merit, but on inherent identity. This transforms your spiritual walk, shifting it from a perpetual struggle for validation to a joyous communion with a loving source. You are able to fully embrace the truth that you are inherently valuable, inherently loved, and inherently supported, thereby dissolving the internal chasm that once separated you from divine provision. Secondly, this principle serves as the ultimate key to unlocking and fully integrating the concept of divine love and abundance. The mental programming of unworthiness acts like a closed circuit, preventing you from fully receiving. Resolute acceptance, however, opens the floodgates. It allows you to genuinely feel loved, to accept compliments without deflection, to embrace opportunities for prosperity without self-sabotage. You actively choose to believe that abundance is not just for others, but for you too. This shift in internal programming recalibrates your perception, allowing you to recognize and accept the myriad forms of blessing, whether financial, relational, emotional, or spiritual, that the universe is constantly offering. It is an active cultivation of receptivity, a willing surrender to the boundless good that seeks to flow into your life. Finally, and perhaps most vitally, the principle of resolute acceptance unleashes the true, unbridled expression of your unique purpose and gifts. When you truly believe you deserve to succeed, to be seen, and to make your unique contribution, the hesitation, the self-doubt, and the fear of visibility begin to dissipate. You no longer hold back. You courageously step into your full potential, confident that your efforts are worthy, your talents are valuable, and your presence is necessary. This liberation allows you to share your light with the world without reservation, fulfilling not only your own deepest desires for contribution, but also enriching the collective human experience with the unique brilliance that only you possess. It is an act of profound spiritual generosity, first to yourself and then to all of humanity, as you allow your authentic, deserving self to shine without constraint. Are you prepared to embrace this powerful truth, to dismantle the ancient false narrative of undeservingness, and to step boldly into your rightful inheritance of happiness, abundance, and purpose? Are you willing to actively accept the love, the blessings, and the opportunities that are already yours, simply by virtue of who you are? The principle of resolute acceptance is not just a belief. It is a conscious, moment-by-moment practice of affirming your inherent worth, opening yourself fully to the flow of goodness, and confidently claiming your place in the magnificent tapestry of creation. It is the ultimate act of self-liberation, paving the way for a life lived not in quiet desperation, but in vibrant, joyful, and purposeful fulfillment. The key is now fully in your grasp. Having diligently journeyed through the intricate landscape of internal confinements, equipped with the potent keys and unwavering principles that unlock each self-imposed prison, from the tranquil discipline of conscious gratitude that dissolved the echoes of yesterday, to the sacred personal altar that fortified your authentic self-image against the distorting mirrors of comparison, and further still, through the precise map of defined intention that cut through the paralyzing fog of future anxieties and the numbing blanket of soulless routine. And finally, having embraced the liberating principle of resolute acceptance to dismantle the insidious belief in unworthiness, you now stand not merely at the threshold of freedom, but squarely within its expansive, vibrant territory. The struggle against internal chains has been profoundly impactful, yet it is crucial to understand that liberation is not a static destination, a single final act of escape. Rather, it is the dynamic and continuous process of living consciously, of actively applying these hard-won insights, and of perpetually aligning your inner world with the grand, magnificent design for which you were created. This marks the beginning of a profound commitment, the conscious and consistent embodiment of your blueprint for purposeful freedom. This blueprint for purposeful freedom is not a rigid set of rules, but an organic, evolving framework, an integrated way of being that ensures the mental prisons you have so diligently dismantled remain uninhabited. It is the active synthesis of all the principles you have cultivated. Consider, for instance, the foundational role of a definite purpose. Now, liberated from the distracting clamor of past regrets, the misleading allure of external validation, the paralyzing fears of the unknown, and the self-sabotaging whispers of undeservingness, your definite purpose can finally emerge in its full, unadulterated clarity. It is no longer a wishful thought, but a vibrant, compelling objective, deeply rooted in your authentic self, fueled by your unique talents, and aligned with your highest aspirations. This purpose becomes the central pillar of your liberated existence, providing unwavering direction and infusing every action with profound meaning. It transforms work into passion, effort into joyous contribution, and challenges into opportunities for growth. This is the life lived not merely for a purpose, but as purpose, where your very being becomes an expression of your deepest intentions. The consistent application of these principles now shifts from being a battle against internal resistance to a joyous affirmation of your awakened potential. The discipline of conscious gratitude, once a tool to combat past shadows, now becomes the very breath of your being, a natural lens through which you perceive the constant flow of blessings in your life. It keeps your spirit buoyant, your perspective clear, and your heart open to the unfolding wonder of each new moment. The personal altar, once a sanctuary for self-discovery, evolves into a continuous state of inner connection, a perpetual attunement to your divine guidance. It means living from a place of intrinsic worth, no longer seeking validation from the ever-shifting sands of external opinion, but drawing strength and identity from the unshakable truth of your unique, cherished place in the universe. This constant connection ensures that your actions are always aligned with your highest self, making your decisions not just effective, but spiritually resonant. The map of defined intention, initially a strategy to overcome anxiety and routine, transforms into the very architecture of your productive, meaningful life. It represents the conscious choice to live intentionally, to proactively shape your days and weeks, rather than merely reacting to circumstances. This is where self-discipline finds its most powerful expression. not as a harsh taskmaster, but as the loving steward of your time and energy, ensuring that every thought, every word, every action contributes demonstrably to the realization of your definite purpose. It means engaging your imagination not to conjure fears, but to vividly pre-experience desired outcomes, to innovate solutions, and to constantly expand the horizons of what is possible. It means embracing the principles of organized planning and decisive action, breaking down grand visions into manageable steps, and moving forward with unwavering conviction, propelled by the clarity of your purpose. And finally, the principle of resolute acceptance, having shattered the chains of unworthiness, now becomes the foundation of your receiving power. It is the open hand and heart that welcomes abundance, not with surprise, but with natural grace and confident expectation. It means truly embracing the truth that you are worthy of love, worthy of success, worthy of joy, and worthy of making a profound impact on the world. This profound acceptance allows you to give generously, knowing that your wellspring of resources, be they material, emotional, or spiritual, is inexhaustible. It fosters an environment where genuine love can flourish, where opportunities are recognized and seized, and where your unique gifts are shared freely, contributing to the greater good. This active receptivity, this conscious acknowledgement of your inherent value, completes the circuit of spiritual abundance, ensuring that your life is not merely free from want, but overflowing with purpose and fulfillment. Living this blueprint for purposeful freedom demands a continuous vigilance. The mental prisons, though dismantled, are always ready to rebuild their walls if you allow your consciousness to drift. It requires constant practice, a diligent commitment to your inner work, and an unwavering belief in the principles that have brought you this far. There will be moments of doubt, instances where old habits attempt to reassert themselves, and external pressures that challenge your resolve. But now, you possess the tools, the understanding, and the experience to navigate these challenges, not as a victim, but as a master of your internal domain. You understand that true freedom is not the absence of external constraints, but the presence of internal mastery. It is the ability to choose your thoughts, to direct your emotions, and to align your actions with your highest vision, regardless of the winds of circumstance. This is the profound journey that awaits you, a life lived from a place of unshakable purpose, fueled by unwavering faith, and guided by conscious intention. It is a life of genuine contribution, authentic connection, and boundless joy. The path of liberation leads not to an empty landscape, but to a fertile ground where your unique potential can finally blossom, where your truest self can shine brightly, illuminating the world around you. You are now the architect of your destiny, the sculptor of your reality, and the master of your magnificent mind. The blueprint is clear. The tools are in your hand. The life of purposeful freedom awaits your active, joyful embodiment. This is not the end of a journey, but the magnificent beginning of your most authentic, powerful existence.